Among the blockbusters like Twister and Independence Day, the film adaptations of Jane Austen's novels have seen steady box office success. The latest adaptation is Emma. Douglas McGrath, who received an Academy Award nomination with Woody Allen for the Bullets Over Broadway screenplay, makes his film directing debut. It stars Gwyneth Paltrow, whom the New York Times film critic Janet Maslin compared to a young Katharine Hepburn. Here is a clip from the film Emma. I taped a segment with Doug McGrath and Gwyneth Paltrow earlier this week, just before they left for a private screening of Emma with the President of the United States. Before we show you that segment, director Douglas McGrath joins us to report on his trip to the big White House in Washington. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, tell me what happened. First of all, we're doing this interview with you and the wonderfully talented, not to speak of beautiful, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yes.
And we're talking about the film, and it's a quite nice segment, which they're going to see in just a moment. You two didn't tell me, but you both have to go somewhere. Very secretive. And where did you have to go?
We had to go to the White House. The White House, not just a White House.
And how many, and what happened? I mean, how did this happen? The President?
Well, you'd think I would know that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would.
But somehow, probably because of Harvey Weinstein.
Right. Harvey knows the President, probably.
Harvey knows the President, and somehow he might have mentioned to him that Emma was coming out. I don't know if the White House requested the film, or if Harvey, undoubtedly the White House must have requested the film, because surely Harvey can't, you know, just call and
not even Harvey
recommend
can do
his films like that.
By the way, what's the President doing this afternoon between 3 and 5? I've got a film I'd love to show him. I think he'll like it. Can we come over? We'll bring the film and bring the stars.
Well, I wouldn't put it past him,
Harvey,
but
I wouldn't either.
No, he's always looking for an opening in everyone's schedule
right.
to get a film scene. But so we went down. It was Gwyneth and her friend Brad and my wife Jane and Harvey and his wife Eve and Donna Gelati, one of our producers.
Yeah.
And there were some people at the White House. The President was there. It's his house. He's left. Come. And I was told, to my horror, that we would sit in the front row. The President sits in the front row, in the center, and then on his left would be Gwyneth, and on his right would be me. And it's quite, I just want to say, he couldn't have made it easier or more delightful for everyone, but it is quite unnerving to watch a movie that you've made with someone who, if he doesn't like it, can have you bombed. You know, it's quite dicey when you're watching it that way.
You could be out of there.
You could really...
Either, I mean, you know what you do? You could probably have you ejected out. I mean, your seat, never to be seen again.
You do feel aware of his power at that time. But he's such a movie fan. It's great.
He loves books and movies.
He really does. And he puts everyone at ease about it. He settles into his chair. He puts his feet up. He leans over and he asks you questions as it's going on. That's
during the movies, asking you, like what?
Where were you shooting?
Oh.
How long were you there? You know, he's an Anglophile in many ways and knows a great deal about England and was eager to...
Oxford.
Went to Oxford, and an Oxophile.
Yes.
And so, you know, he really had a great interest in all the details of it. He was interested to know if Gwyneth had worked with an accent coach or if she'd acquired that all just by listening and by her own gifts. A steady curiosity through the film.
Where was Brad?
Brad was on Gwyneth's left.
Yeah. And he watched the whole thing.
Yes,
sat through the whole thing.
No walkouts.
Didn't fall asleep.
We didn't have any walkouts.
Didn't fall asleep.
No
nothing.
complaints.
Paid attention.
Paid attention. Laughed where he was meant to laugh, which was very good. And it's a little surreal watching a movie with the President, apart from my own bombing fears. We're in the front row. Everyone else, thus, is behind us. He has a lovely head of gray hair.
Yeah.
So he's quite distinct.
And he's 6'2" or something, 6'3". Right?
And quite distinct. So that everyone is aware that in front of them, watching the movie, is the President. And, I mean, I know if the rest of the audience was like we were, because Jane and I were on this side, and, you know, you just have one eye that's, that's leaning over here to see what's he doing, is it all right? And everyone else has to be focused on him. So he would laugh at a joke, and everyone, you just feel how nervous everyone is in the room. And so he laughs at a joke, and then everyone laughs at the joke. It's a weird...
It's almost like it makes its way through the room.
It does. It's like those phone calls overseas. You know, it just has that delay to it.
And what happened after that? So the movie's over and you'd leave?
Eventually, but the movie's over, and then we all kind of made our way to the hall where he asked a number of questions about how we shot certain things and how it was done. And he said how sorry he was that Mrs. Clinton and Chelsea couldn't be there because they were great Austen fans. We stood around for about 15, 20 minutes. He told us some fun stories about when he lived in England. And then at a certain point, someone comes up and does that, Mr. President, says the telephone, sort of thing. And thank God that person was there, because you wouldn't leave otherwise.
Did you see anybody else you recognized?
Other than Gwyneth, whom I recognized from the film. No, Christopher Dodd was there, Senator Dodd.
Oh, so you recognized Senator Dodd?
I recognized him.
He's probably a movie fan, too.
Yeah, well, he seemed to be. He didn't throw anything at the screen. No. He was very well behaved.
This is great, though.
We enjoyed it.
Thank you for reporting back.
I'm happy to give this debriefing to you.
So we tried, this is a program that tries to keep up with what's going on in Washington.
You are very current. I like this.
We had our sources saying, we hear it at the White House. We'll take a look now at a conversation. Congratulations again on the movie, and to Gwyneth and to all the people who made this a film that's getting lots of attention. Here's a conversation we recorded earlier.
She was as selfless a friend as I have ever had. And I hope to say someday I have done half as much for someone as Mrs. Weston did for me.
You must be happy that she settled so well.
Indeed. One matter of joy, and this is that I made the match myself. People said Mr. Weston would never marry again, and what a triumph.
Triumph? You made a lucky guess.
Have you never known the triumph of a lucky guess? Had I not promoted Mr. Weston's visits and given encouragement where encouragement was needed, we might not have had a wedding today.
Then please, my dear, encourage no one else. Marriage is so disrupting to one's social circle.
Only one more, Papa. When Mr. Elton joined their hands today, he looked very much as if he would like the same kind office performed for him.
People have said about you that you could have had a starring role before this. You took a series of minor roles after people sort of recognized you as a young actress that had a great future. Why Emma? What was it about this Jane Austen novel that said, go?
How long is your program? Well, you know, it's very uncommon, being a young actress, that you come across any sort of substantial leading roles, especially if you're under 25. And for quite a while, it was really my intention to do smaller roles and work with interesting people and to learn as much as I could, because I wasn't in any kind of a rush. And when I read Emma, because I read the screenplay before the novel, it was just so brilliantly written, and the character was so full and complicated and lovely and faulted, and it's just very rare. I can't convey how rare it is for a role of this nature to be written for a young woman.
Brilliantly written by the adapter or by the original novelist?
Well, both.
Just leave it at that. That's enough, I think, right?
Brilliant, period. Yeah. But what did she say? What is it about her that you find interesting? I mean, you have said before she learned. There was a quality about Emma learning that appealed to me from experience.
Yeah. Well, I think that the most we can ask of ourselves as human beings is when we make mistakes, because we all certainly do. I think the only thing that we can really ask of ourselves is that we really understand what we've done and to learn from them, because that's all of the power that we can have. And I loved that she made mistakes and that really ended up understanding what she had done and really learning from them. I loved that human aspect of her.
And how was it to work with a first-time director?
Well, in this particular case...
I'm glad you asked while I was here so I could...
In this particular case, it was just wonderful. It was an extraordinary experience, and Doug is roughly the funniest and smartest man I've ever met, so it just... No, but I'm being honest.
You mean he's on the top 5? Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely in the top 5.
Yeah.
It was just extraordinary. He came to the project with such vision and such deep understanding of the direction of the piece and the depth of the material, and also brought such a lively spirit to it. It was just a joy to go to work every day. And
Well, was there a point in which you said, listen, McGrath, I know this is your first time out, but my career is on the line here. This is my first starring role. You, sir, better get it right.
well, you know, every other day or so I would say that.
She did have a hatchet in the face sometimes.
I never thought that. I was very confident.
Take me through the process. Emma, I think the fourth of the 6 novels of Jane Austen.
I think the last.
The last, because she died a year later, didn't she? Written about 1816. Your favorite.
By far.
How do you adapt her to screen?
It's not that hard, really, because unlike a lot of great novelists and a lot of great novels, this novel is all told in dialogue between the characters out loud. You know, so many great books, like Gatsby, are great for other reasons than that. You know, Gatsby's great because the prose is so great, and the way Fitzgerald tells the story is so great. But if you take that prose out of it, what you're left with is a story about some drunk people on Long Island who can't really pass their time very well. Now,
we know some of them, don't
yes,
we?
And that's often how I spend my weekends. So on Emma, though, Emma happens out loud, you know, in the most beautiful language, the most articulate kind of prose, and the wittiest kind of prose. So the whole story happens as a movie should happen, meaning through the speech of the characters. So that makes it easy, by which I mean possible. The hard part about adapting Jane Austen is that to get down from 400 pages, which is what the novel is roughly, to 100 pages of screenplay sized pages.
Which is about 2 hours.
Yeah. That is very painful. If you love the book as I did, you hate to cut anything, and you also feel quite presumptuous cutting anything. And so you're always saying, well, maybe we could just put this one more line in. And at one point, I had a script that was 140 pages. You know, people would have had to bring medical supplies to last through the run of the movie. So, you know, you have to shrink it down, and that's hard.
And so you do that by an outline.
You do it by an outline.
Start with an outline of what?
Well, actually, I wrote at the top of every page in the book what happened on that page.
Yeah.
And then I took all of that and put it into an outline, and then I looked for places where there were repetitions. And there were some repetitions. But
yeah. And here's what else you did.
Oh,
you
good.
said, I'm going to put her in every scene. There's only one scene that you're not in.
That's true.
You know?
Well, that's why it's called Emma. You know, I mean, she's in it all the way. And that was a particular burden for Gwyneth because she has to, if she doesn't work...
Just to carry this movie.
She has to carry the movie. And if you don't like who is playing that part or the way she's playing it, you won't like the movie.
Was this one choice and one choice only? I mean, this was the person that you thought ought to be playing this?
I had no other choice.
Yeah. Without being embarrassing to her. Why?
Well, I can't do it without being embarrassing to her. But, well, the funniest thing is the first thing I started with was that I'd seen Gwyneth in Flesh and Bone, which is this brilliant film she's in. And in it, she does a perfect and impeccable Texas accent. Yeah. I grew up in Texas. And my friends and I used to go to the movies all the time and just kill ourselves laughing over actors doing Texas accents.
Especially like, British actors.
Yes, British actors, or Dean Martin, or, you know, there are a lot of people. And her accent was so good, I thought if she can do that, she can certainly do an English accent. And then in every other way, she was perfect. She had the perfect look for it.
Now, what's the perfect look other than beautiful? Is it vulnerable? Is it something?
Actually, it's not just beauty. Because
this is putting you on the couch.
If you want to get water. Yeah. It wouldn't be right. If Gwyneth were only beautiful, it wouldn't work for the part.
Yeah, well.
Because what's great, if I may be so nauseating,
it helps if she can act. And then,
well, is that Gwyneth's beauty is animated by personality. Right. And all through the film, scenes are made better and enriched, not by just the way she speaks the lines, but by the most hilarious or sometimes touching things she does with her face and with her body. You know, her posture changes, the way she'll move an eyebrow. Just the tiniest little thing conveys the fullest kind of emotion. And for me as a director, that's a dream, because I would never know how to say, can you flush your cheek a little here? That would make it so much richer.
They didn't teach you that at directing school. By the way, you were a columnist for The New Republic. You worked for Saturday Night Live. You had never directed a film, but you were always, what, wanting to do this?
I loved this book. When I read this book, I could see it as a movie. I could see the coming attractions. I could see the little part where they tell you to get
You could see the trailer.
No, I just always saw it as a film. And right before this movie, I'd worked with Woody Allen on Bullets Over Broadway, and I got to watch him work, which taught me a lot. I didn't go to film school, but by working and being around Woody, that helped so much.
I want to get back to her in a second, but you see some similarities in Woody's world and Jane Austen's world and what they do?
Oh, definitely. You know, many people would say they thought that the two worlds were, you know, that must be so strange coming from the world of Woody into the world of Jane Austen, but they're actually, funnily enough, quite similar. You know, they both write about a very small circle of society, a very articulate group of people, a very usually well-to-do group of people, and a highly self-involved group of people. Apart from the fact that you can't get a taxi in a Jane Austen film, otherwise I think they're quite similar.
Can she mimic Woody as well as you can?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Yes, she can.
I cannot.
Oh, come on. Let's see.
No,
come on.
that is a lie.
Can I tell about your day on when you had a little leftover Woody in your...
Sure.
We were clowning around waiting for something to be set up, and Gwyneth was doing scenes from Annie Hall. She can do all the parts.
We've got a program here, don't we?
I think you do. A fundraiser, maybe.
Just one scene from Annie Hall.
Oh, gosh, okay. Well, just a couple of quick ones. What's a good one?
Do outside the movie theater.
Oh, with Cheech?
Yeah. That's funny.
When, wait, what about the bathroom?
Do the bathroom, that's funny.
When she calls him over in the middle of the night, and he gets to her apartment, and he's like, what? Right, I'm here, what? I'm exhausted. And she goes, there's a spider in the bathroom. And he goes, you called me over here for it's a spider in the bed? What's the matter with you? It's the middle of the night. I was sleeping. There are two, and they're big. Will you kill them? Of course, I'll kill them, all right. But you're not afraid, are you? Honey, please, I've been killing spiders since I was 30. And then he goes in, and there's the black soap. What are you, joining a minstrel show? That was my favorite line. But you do it so much better than me.
Well, no, I couldn't say so.
So there's a natural mimic here.
A natural mimic. Yeah. A natural mimic. You mimic you imitate a lot of people.
You have wanted to act since you were born.
That's true.
You know, because it was in your genes, or just because there was something about being around an actress and being around someone who was involved in theater that... Would you have been an actress if your parents weren't in the business, so to speak?
You know, that's very difficult to say, because it's sort of environment versus, you know, genes, and who knows the answer to any of those questions. But I think it was because I grew up watching my mother, and she was so magical. And I just remember, you know, watching her in rehearsals or in costume fittings, or and she would pretend, you know, and then everybody would come and sit and watch her, you know, pretend to be somebody else. And I just thought it was the most extraordinary thing.
If there's anyone in the world who doesn't know who your mother is, Blythe Danner,
Right.
and your father's Bruce Paltrow, who was a producer of St. Elsewhere and some very good and high-quality television. Having said that, what did they give you? I mean, when you look at the way that this career has gone for you in terms of what was it that they said, not by saying, but by who they were, that you ought to do?
Within this career?
Yeah.
I think the most important thing they've done is to support me in my choices, and to let me be very free in my choices, and never offer opinions unless asked, or unless they really see some kind of trouble. They're very trusting, you know, and they did, I think, a very nice job in raising my brother and myself. So I think that it offers them a tremendous freedom now that we're grown up in terms of the choices that we make. And, you know, I grew up seeing them produce very high-quality work. So that's something that I think innately strive for.
There's something else your mother did. She opted for a well-rounded life, too.
Yes, she did. She gave up, I mean, true movie stardom to raise us and to be a mother, you know. She was offered all of the leading roles in the late 70s, early 80s. But we were young and we needed her, so she stayed with us.
Are you ready for this? I mean, it's just sweeping over you. I have here the magazines that are out. Just look at this. 1, 2, 3. Nice one. Vogue. And then, again, what's it like to be in the center of this, where all of a sudden people are saying, she is the...
Yes.
You know, well, they're saying she is. What's the right word? She's the actress of the moment with the quality to have an enduring career. Janet Maslin. Comparisons to Katharine Hepburn. It doesn't get any better than that.
Right. Well, it's beyond flattering. I mean, it's overwhelmingly flattering. And very validating, but it's also been
validating of
me and my, you know, it's
the sacrifices and the.
Well, it's when I say, you know, I want to be an actress. That's what I want to do with my life. And then when people write things like that, it's them saying, well, we believe you, you know. So that's incredibly nice. It's also been very illuminating because there's been this whole kind of crush, you know, with all the reviews and all of the press. And it's been incredibly illuminating for me because it's been very distilling in that I see so clearly what is important to me and the opinions of my family and my close friends are what I deem worthy opinions. I mean, it's all very nice, but if I believe it now, then I have to believe it when the worm turns, don't I?
Yeah, you do. But you look at it and you say, I made the right choices, and the whatever amount of time I spent in getting it right pays off.
That's right.
You've got a lot of films coming out.
I do.
Do you have any free time?
No, not a whole lot. I really don't, actually. Not lately, but after I finish this next one, I think I'll take some healthy time off. I took 6 months off between Emma and Kill Ronan, the last one that I did with Jessica Lange, so that was very needed.
How do you continue to grow? I mean, is it simply from working with great actors, from learning from big and good directors, you know?
I think yes. Unfortunately, I didn't really get a chance to study, you know. I never had any formal training. But I was sort of an apprentice in the way that I learned hands-on.
This is like your 12th film.
The one that I'm doing now is my 13th.
13th.
Yeah. And I just feel that I've been incredibly fortunate to work with people like Jessica Lange and my mother and, you know, Doug McGrath and Paul Thomas Anderson, who wrote and directed another film that I did, and Whoopi Goldberg and
Morgan Freeman.
And you know, it's been extraordinary.
And the other actor, I forget his name. Who was the guy in Seven? Morgan Freeman.
Brad Pitt.
Oh, right, of course, yes.
Another good young actor.
Very excellent young actor.
Excellent young actor.
The best.
Do you learn together because you have a relationship with someone else who was, you know, who you have a partnership with another actor?
Yeah, he's been tremendously helpful. Also because, I mean, it's wonderful because I can say, you know, this happened on set today, and he'll say, I completely understand, you know, and we have...
You could say, I'm just tired, I'm wiped.
Yeah, you know, and he understands completely, and I understand when he's that way. And it's also been very helpful on the sort of larger, scarier issues, you know, like becoming a more public person, a more recognizable person. And whatever stage I go through, he's been through. So it's... he just is very wise on it all, which is a great help.
Is it scary, that celebrity thing? I mean, you really are now, where you can't go to a restaurant, you can't get out of a car, you can't do anything without... Is it scary? What's it?
It's so strange, Charlie. It doesn't feel like it's me, you know. I don't... it just feels like... not real to me at all. It feels very foreign, and I don't quite understand it, but I'm getting more used to it, because that's the only way.
That's the only choice you have. They're not going to go away.
I don't know.
And if they do, that's not a happy choice.
Right.
Would you like to work together again?
Yeah, sure. We don't have anything planned, but it would be something that I would love to do someday down the road. It would
be hard to do a sequel to 7.
Yeah.
With that you lost your head.
That's right. That would be tough.
When you look at a role like Emma, and it's hard to answer this question because you've already got these other things in the can that haven't yet exhibited. How do you choose next in terms of what you want to do? Because in a sense, you've already chosen before this came out. But
yeah.
When you look at the success of this and what it's done for you and what it's said for you and what you've done for it, what are you looking to do in the evolution?
Just keep very open mind and not say, well, now I'm going to play,
Sure.
you know, a heroin addict, or now I'm going to play, you know, a girl from Bulgaria, or I just really try to do things that are very different, you know, and play people who are approaching things in very different ways. And that's how I feel I've been able to continue to learn, you know, because I haven't gotten comfortable doing one type of thing.
Is anything in you that says this has been too easy?
No.
Because it hasn't been easy?
No. It's been a lot
What's
of
been
work.
tough about it? Just the amount of what?
Well, the amount of time that I spend on each thing, and I really, every role that I do and every film that I do, I really put all of myself physically and mentally into it. And I take my work very seriously. And it hasn't been, you know, easy. It's not just, you know, you wake up and whoops.
I know,
you
and you've got it.
Yeah, yeah.
And also,
But
you know,
can't, she comes to you easy only from the standpoint of you come to it with a lot of natural ability.
I understand.
yeah, but that doesn't make it easy. And it does, you know, because the work
Makes the
itself
challenge
is
even more tough.
Well, the day is still so hard. You know, even on a film like ours, which was a short film. I mean, we had 7 weeks. I mean, short to get done. We were working 6 days a week, and Gwyneth had to be up at some ungodly hour every day, 5:30, in, you know, having weird hair sewn into her head. She had to know, you know, 5 pages of dialogue every day, dance, shoot archery, do things all day long. She's the only person, as I say, who's in every scene, so she never got a break.
I was there first in the morning and last to go.
What's that, 14-hour day?
That is a
Oh,
long
yeah.
day. That is a long day, and she has to look like she's a person who hasn't been having a 14-hour day. You know, you can't look like...
What's hardest for you in acting? What's the toughest challenge about it?
Boy, I think the toughest thing for me, I think, is remaining patient through the waiting time, the technical time. Because when you're tired, and it's also, what's hard is not being able to control your own destiny. Sometimes it just, well, not even destiny, that's too broad, but your own, you know, well, what if I don't want to go to New York on Thursday? You know, what if I don't want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning for the 80th day in a row, you know?
You've got an obligation to all these other people.
Yes.
Including the people who are working with you, including the people who finance the film and all of that.
Sure.
Who put their
Yeah.
stuff on the line.
But I think patience during the day is, you know, during the waiting time and the technical stuff is the most difficult for me. Because the actual acting is a joy, and it's not difficult.
What's hard about directing? You have a great actress and a cinematographer.
The hardest part is remembering everything, because you don't shoot in order, you know, so everything's out of sequence. And the
I
hardest
would
thing...
think that would be one of the toughest things about acting, because you've got to be here, especially if the actor has a progression that they're going through.
It is. Well, and as a director, you should be, it's in your contract, you should be aware of where everyone is in their emotional arc during the film. And, you know, you have to say, you know, remember, she's mad at him here. Yeah. Don't forget they've had that scene. And you might have just played a scene before where the two characters are very happy with each other. Yeah. So it's very hard. I was surprised by how much concentration it took in every way. Not only do you have to remember what each character's going through at that point in that scene, but then you always have to look at it too. You know, you have to think, will this cut together well? And I didn't have any sense of that. And you have to think, are we staging it in a way that'll keep the pace moving the best, in the most flowing manner? I was surprised by how much there was to think about.
Yeah. How did you prepare?
I did quite a bit of research with a woman in L.A. Who's sort of an expert on period everything. I had very little time, of course, as usual, between the extraction of my wisdom teeth and my flight to London. So she gave me quite a bit of material, which I studied, and I worked with the accent coach. That was really the main thing, that I wanted to get it as well as I could.
Most of the rest of the cast, British.
Most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, all from countries that were once a part of the Empire.
Yeah, Scott. Yeah. Two Scots and an Australian.
Yeah. Was there some did you fear you wanted to get the accent right, A, because of the role demanded it, but also you're going into a circumstance where they say, prove it to us, American actress.
It was it was very daunting.
Yeah.
And it was palpable the day that we went in to do the first read-through with the cast, you know. I was very intimidated, and, you know, we were there with all these wonderful British actors. And here I was, like the skinny kid from America, you know, and they were all just a little bit, I mean, you could feel it, you know.
Yeah.
But then I think they were very supportive.
When did you know you had it locked? You feel a sense that I've got this?
Well, I think originally when I first read it here in New York, and then we read it through down at the Tribeca Film Center for Harvey Weinstein to...
This is the head of Merrimack.
Right, to hear it all through. And I felt, you know, I click with this.
When you saw the film, having seen the rushes and seen the film, if you could do it again, would you do it any differently?
Emma?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You would?
Mm-hmm. There are things I would do differently.
Just a moment or a scene or an attitude or...
Mm-hmm. There are all of those things.
Don't you love somebody to ask the question and answers them too?
Yes, I do. It really takes the pressure off. There are definitely certain things that I would change. I don't necessarily want to go through them because then people will watch the movie and go, "Oh,
that's
yeah."
right. Fair.
But
you could go through them with me. Though.
I will.
Because it was the director's.
No, not at all. They're just, you know. But I have to say that honestly, I've never been happier with a performance of mine. You know. I really am, and that it takes quite a bit for me to say that.
Your mother did both stage and film. Mm-hmm. You've done primarily film. I don't know of any stage that you have done except
I've done
early.
A few. I mean, I've spent many summers at Williamstown doing...
Yeah. Which is where your dad knew.
Yes, that's right. Which is where my father... I was doing Picnic. And there was a sort of ongoing familial debate about whether I should return to the University of Santa Barbara. And he saw Picnic and he said, I don't think you should go back. I think you should really try this.
Because you've got something.
Yes.
And how happy were you to hear that?
Beyond thrilled. I was over the moon.
Because now everything about you could concentrate.
That's right. That's right.
Role models?
My mother, Grace Kelly, my father, Audrey Hepburn, Meryl Streep. These are just, you know, in...
Classy bunch.
It's a good group.
Yeah. They're really my favorites. Jessica Lange also.
Do you talk to your mother about performance? About a role, about an interpretation?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Especially, we've worked together a number of times, so especially when we're working together, we talk, and it's incredibly helpful, you know. Not only is she incredibly brilliant at what she does, but she's very intuitive and very insightful, and she's a wonderful help. And you know, then you go out on stage and you're on stage and you're doing your thing and you're next to this brilliant actress who's also your mommy, you know. So it's just been something in my life that I really value. I really cherish her and our relationship.
What is it about Jane Austen that makes these books so popular today in America and around the world in terms of Emma, Sense and Sensibilities, Persuasion, a whole series on A&E?
I think it's the nudity and the violence. I know that's what
the
drew.
nude scenes of her in Emma to die for, worth the price of the admission.
Exactly.
Would you say?
Easy,
Would you
fellas.
say?
Easy, fellas.
No, I think it's that they're you know, they're about the main thing that most people talk about, which is other people's love lives. And how people are behaving
Gossip.
at parties,
Yeah.
and what they're wearing.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it has nothing to do with 1816, which is when Emma was written.
Right.
You know, there are a lot of physical period details, but the conversation, the subject of it, is all what everybody talks about today. It's about, you know,
It's
who's
people
the right,
commenting on each other.
yes, and who's the right person to be in love with.
Yeah, that's go ahead, you tell me. Emma is about, in the largest sense, what? Who should you be in love with?
Oh, yeah. I think it's about being open to seeing the person that's right for you or that you were born to be with. I think it implies that everybody has their perfect person. And it's only a matter of time and open-mindedness until you discover each other.
But you have to know yourself
Yeah.
to be able to find that person.
That's very true.
And Emma, when the film starts, doesn't know herself.
That's
She
right.
thinks she knows herself, and she thinks she knows what's right for everybody else.
But doesn't know what's right for her.
No, and that's
Right.
because
And
she's
that's what's-
never
Or
been.
anybody
Yeah.
else.
Or anybody else, yeah.
And that's because she's never been in love. And it takes falling in love for her to find out who she really is.
Were you looking for love when you fell in love? Or were you just...
No, I wasn't at all. It just sort of fell from the heavens.
on the set of Seven?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it... I'm asking this only because I don't want to be soap opera-ish about this. Did it infuse your sense of the character, the fact that you're so wonderfully in love, infuse your sense of Emma and that role? Because it was part of who you were at that time in your life?
Mm-hmm. I think that anywhere you are in time and space, emotionally and mentally, always influences your work.
That's what you draw on.
Well, sure. I mean, the more you go through, the more you learn, the more circumstances that you're privy to, the richer your bank is from which to draw from. So I think that anything, you know, that's especially the very deep emotions, it's just like the well gets deeper, you know, in terms of using it for your work. You just understand things better.
It must be terribly difficult for Brad, though, to know that this woman that he loves so much, he respects so much, admires so much, is so crazy about, is also the object of all this adulation by every man, young or old. And they are shameless in the way they're so mad for you.
Well, now he knows how I felt.
Congratulations on the success of Emma, both of you.
very
I mean, it is, it's wonderful because, one, it is a great story, and it's your story, it's Jane Austen's story, and it's a sense of your story. I mean, what better performance and role to choose? It was kind of a coming of age for you, having made choices so that you would grow at a certain rate, and all of a sudden Emma comes, and it all comes together for the film and for you and for the other actors and for a first-time director. I'm very honored to have you on this broadcast.
I'm glad to be here.
Gwyneth, it's great to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
I adore
Jim.
your mother and father, as you know.
Thank you. Tell them.